Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unlicensed Show. We're back. This is our third episode. This time it was my pick because we go back and forth in this show. And again, the show's called Unlicensed because we're just giving our opinion, which is obviously not. We don't have a license for that. Not for any other
Unfortunately, that would
particular
have cost too
reason.
much money.
Yeah, I don't know what an opinion license would cost, to be honest. I imagine it just wouldn't be worth it anyways. It's free to say bullshit. Uh,
Oh yeah, no.
so, I mean,
You'll
yeah,
be told you're wrong all the time anyway, so
yeah.
it's
Anyways, today, this month, I picked Batman 89, which I have seen many, 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 many times, and Lennon has never seen even once.
no,
So,
shocker.
this is the thing. I didn't even bother making notes for this because I know the film back to front. Uh, so, this is the thing. I'm going to let Lennon lead the show a little bit more. Um, so, first things first, what did you think of the movie generally?
I thought it was pretty good actually.
This
You
is the
know,
thing. It's a
you
very
know,
good movie.
I kind of went into it thinking like, oh, it's it's going to be a little bit satire, but it was actually like pretty serious.
Well, this is the thing. It's a complete cartoon.
Yeah.
Like I appreciate the fact that in
Sorry, let me just go back on what I meant serious. Bruce Wayne was very serious in the movie. Jack Nicholson, for the first like third, or not even the first like quarter of the movie, was pretty serious, and then when he turned the Joker, it was
I feel like there's parts of this movie which we're going to go over, and you might change that opinion of Bruce Wayne being serious. Um,
well, yeah. There's that one. Like, let's get it there. We'll get
we'll
to it.
go through it. So, yeah, you obviously like the film. There's a few general things which I suppose are worth talking about. Like,
Soundtrack is amazing.
it is a very very iconic soundtrack. The set design in the movie is unrivaled. That's what Gotham City looks like. That's what it should
Yeah,
look like, anyways. Like some sort of nightmare hellscape of where
yeah.
everything's enormous. You've got all these colossal buildings. It's crazy
Everything's
looking,
gray and dark and
and
gritty, grimy.
there's lots of prints. Uh,
Lots of prints. I
Lots
was
of
happy with a lot
prints,
of prints.
but it doesn't feel awkward. Weirdly enough, even though it's like licensed music kind of shoved into the movie, I think a lot of those songs were new. I don't remember exactly, but I think some of them were new for the film.
I didn't think, yeah, they were made for
Uh,
the movie. Yeah.
but they're good songs, and they don't overstay their welcome. Uh,
Prince never misses.
yeah, and then you get the casting, which is obviously very good. At the time, Michael Keaton was a very controversial pick for Batman because he was seen as more of a comedy guy.
Hmm.
Uh, and he does certainly bring that energy to the movie, but he also, like, again, you take for granted a lot of the things that this movie kind of made. For example, the idea of there being a Batman voice. That's the
Yeah.
thing that came from this movie because like there wasn't really a Batman voice. A delineation between Bruce Wayne and Batman didn't really exist. Like if you look at the only other real live action Batman that existed before this would have been Adam West, and he just did the same voice the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was part of the joke that for some reason no one could figure out that Bruce Wayne was Batman, even though he made no effort to hide it. Like there's a scene in which in the '60s show where Commissioner Gordon's like, "Oh, Batman, we need you to talk to Bruce Wayne," and so they put him on the phone to Bruce Wayne, and the whole thing is you have Adam West. He's got two phones, and he's like talking into one as Batman, and then talking to the other one as Bruce Wayne, and on the other end of the line you have the police, and they're like, "Right, yeah, they're having a conversation, okay," and and they just don't know. It's the same voice coming out of both ends of the
That's
telephone.
strange. They sounded almost alike.
Yeah, like this is the thing. It's like again, and this movie does sort of carry that kind of level of cartooniness to it. But again, the Batman voice, it's a thing which comes from this movie, even though it's
Yeah.
mild.
I kind of I didn't kind of cop it at first because obviously you get introduced to Bruce
Mm.
Wayne like
You get introduced to
not
Bruce
late
Wayne
into the movie, but like
afterwards. Yeah,
yeah. So I thought like, oh, that's what he sounds like in the movie, and then when he was talking normally to is it Kim Basinger
yeah. Kim
character?
Basinger. Yeah, Vicky Vale.
Um, you're like, oh, two different voices.
Yeah,
So they're actually two different characters this time, technically,
yeah.
because it's Um, same voice.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of other stuff like this movie does the weird thing of Batman remains pretty mysterious for most of the film,
Oh
whereas
yeah.
Joker is the character who you kind of know everything about. You don't get the flashback until the beginning of the third act,
Yeah, I was kind of like, shouldn't this? Because at the start where you had like
and
the,
it's like the
I
heavy
thought it was gonna be
implication that
that.
like, oh
Yeah,
no, this is the scene. Nope, bait and switch. And this is
yeah,
the thing. This is one of those movies which has a lot of stuff of where whenever you watch it a second time, it's like, oh, that's neat. Of where like you get that of where the opening scene directly contrasts or directly mirrors the what do you call it, the flashback later on in the film. Early in the film, whenever they're having the conference to announce that Harvey Dent is now the new district attorney, you see,
Lando Calrissian is
yeah,
Harvey Dent.
you see the there's that shot where there's a bit of a close up on the table, and one of the nameplates there is Bruce Wayne, but his
Yeah,
chair is empty. That's before you've even seen what Bruce Wayne looks like in the film. And this is
yeah.
the thing, it's like those little things. Whenever Bruce Wayne gets the file on Jack Napier later in the film, on the left hand side is young Jack Napier. They don't call attention to it, but that's what he looks like in the flashback later in the film.
Yeah.
It's like just a lot of those little things where they sprinkle them throughout, of where it's like you won't notice that necessarily the first time around.
I didn't actually notice that watching it. I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
What I did notice was the lack of Commissioner Gordon as well. He was barely.
Commissioner Gordon's not a very important character in the film. A lot of the side characters in this film just aren't all that important.
Yeah.
Like Commissioner Gordon isn't in a huge amount of the film. He's not a very important character in really any of these original Batman films. But it's the same actor. It's Pat Hingle in this film, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. It's the same actor in all those films. The same way it's Michael Gough as Alfred in all four films, even though Batman obviously changes actor.
Yeah.
Which is the strange thing, is that they try to a degree in some of those later films to try and still connect them to this film.
Well, they changed the actor for Batman.
They changed the
in
actor.
future films.
So Batman Forever is sort of Batman 3. Sort of.
Okay.
But they kind of like it's little things like Val Kilmer still wears glasses as Bruce Wayne. He still wears the glasses and all this stuff, and he still acts somewhat similar. And in Batman Forever, they make a point of saying that he doesn't kill anymore.
Yeah.
Because obviously he kills a lot of fucking people in this movie. And that's one of the things as well is, see, the weird thing about the way that Batman kills in Batman 89 is that it's not mean. Like, it's not very mean-spirited. It's very much like, the way that I think about it is it's like seeing Indiana Jones kill people. You don't really think of it as murder so much as you do of where it's just like, this is the good guy fighting the bad guy. That's kind of, it's not like super mean-spirited. Like, a lot of the ways that he kills people in this film are quite comical.
Yeah.
Like when he blows up Axe's chemicals. The fucking bombs just fall out of the Batmobile. Or there's that giant guy who beats the piss out of him for like 2 minutes, and then he hits him in the head with the bell, and then throws him down a hole. Or there's that guy who just falls through the floor.
Very comical deaths. It's nothing like, in what was
It's
it?
not like Batman v Superman of where he's like
Yeah, the
smashing their
warehouse
heads
scene.
in.
Fucking literally crushing their brains with like fucking big massive crates and stuff.
Or yeah, his whole meat man
Yeah.
body just crushing on them.
And I don't know. I loved a lot of like comical stuff in that movie, and now I'm going back on what I said at the start. But when he was walking around at first, when he's first introduced, like him just fucking floating
Yeah.
down, and him just flapping that cape everywhere, he was like the
Yeah.
entire time. And when he fucking roundhouse kicked the guy through the door, I was in
Yeah.
fucking, I was weak. I was absolutely weak because it didn't even look that powerful of a kick. It was
He
just
just
like,
goes flying. Yeah.
um,
Obviously, there's
Brilliant.
the elephant in the room of that Michael Keaton could not move his neck in this bat suit. So
yeah, I
whenever
had that written down as well. To, like, keeps, 'cause there's bits I
Anytime
saw
he
him, like,
looks
looking
up-
around, he's like,
anytime he looks up, he has to crane his whole body, or like
yeah. Looking up was the best one because his entire body is.
yeah, he has to like crane his whole back to look up.
What else do I have here? I think that's everything. But yeah, the introduction of Bruce Wayne very late. He was only at that party.
Yeah,
Um, that you only meet him and he's like, "Which one of you is Bruce Wayne?"
yeah,
Kim Basinger's
yeah.
character says to Jack Nicholson and the other guy. Um, Also, actually, before I touch on that, skipped over the reporter guy, the detective or whatever.
Knox,
Uh,
not Tom
Knox,
Hanks.
not Tom Hanks, but
Budget
very,
Tom
very,
Hanks.
very creepy character.
Yeah,
Very creepy at the start.
yeah,
Um, the just the hitting on Kim's character
yeah,
was just very creepy and uncomfortable. But um, and he gets bullied in that office. Gets
yeah,
completely ridiculed,
yeah.
and then
Oh,
yeah,
here's a fun little piece of trivia. There's the sketch that he gets handed of Batman.
yeah,
There's a signature on it which says Bob Kane, because that was Bob
yeah.
Kane,
He designed
creator,
he created all the characters.
creator of
Yeah.
Batman, sketched that. And I believe he does have a cameo in the film, but I don't think that's him that hands in the sketch. I don't actually think that's him who hands the sketch to Knox. I think he is in the film somewhere, but that's not him. Yeah, this film obviously, of course, has the opening of where it says Batman created by Bob Kane. It does not say Batman created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger, because what you know as Batman was created by Bill Finger. The appearance of Batman is all Bill Finger. Because if you want to have a good laugh, you can look at what Bob Kane's Batman looks like, and it's just a man in a red T-shirt with blonde hair and big stupid bat wings. Uh, that's what Bob Kane's Batman looked like. And then Bill Finger came in and said, "This looks shit. We need to make something that looks cool." And so, yeah,
I'm looking at it now.
it's embarrassing. It's
The
embarrassing
Batman.
and bad. But yeah, it's
Those
it's interesting the way they frame a lot of this film, because Batman isn't really the main character. He's not really the main character of the film. I mean, Michael Keaton is the second billed actor in this film. Jack
Yeah, I
Nicholson is
saw
the
that at
highest
the
billed
start.
actor.
I was like, why
So
is
there is
Michael
some
Keaton like second?
very funny stories about this film. So it's somewhat similar to in the original Superman. Christopher Reeve is the third billed actor in the film.
Yeah,
Marlon Brando is the highest billed actor, even though he's in 10 minutes of the movie. Then it's Gene Hackman. Then it's Christopher Reeve. With Batman, it's Jack Nicholson. Then Michael Keaton. So part of the reason of that is that Jack Nicholson did not want to fucking do this movie. It took a lot of convincing to get him into this film, because the studio and Tim Burton both wanted Jack Nicholson. Uh, Tim Burton wanted Michael Keaton because he had done Beetlejuice at this point already, and the studio wanted Bill Murray for Batman.
yeah,
But yeah, so they were both in agreement, I believe, at least, I don't remember this fully, that they wanted Jack Nicholson. But Jack Nicholson did not want to do the film. He basically drove a real hard bargain, and he started asking for bizarre shit in order to do the movie. So one of the
money.
things,
Is it?
he asked for a lot of money, and they were like, "We can get you the money." And then he was like, "Okay, I want to be top billed." And they were like, "We can do that." And then he was like, "I want to cut of the gross." And they were like, "We can get you that." And he also negotiated a deal of where he earns a percentage based on the usage of the Joker. So anytime the Joker is used in anything, Jack Nicholson gets paid. So he's still getting paid
So
for
yeah,
Joker.
got paid for the
He gets
Dark Knight,
paid for the Dark Knight. He got paid for
the animated series.
the animated series. He got paid for games. He gets paid for fucking everything. He got a good deal for this. Because again, bear in mind, this is one of those things where the studio were kind of like, they
Give
didn't
him everything.
they
to
didn't
get
know
him
what
in
was
the
going to
movie.
happen, and they were like,
Yeah.
"We need star power for this, so we need Jack Nicholson." And one of his weird requests was he was like, "Hey, this is my buddy. I want you to put him in the movie." And so Joker's right hand man, Bob.
Yeah,
That guy isn't an actor. That's just Jack
He's just a
Nicholson's
guy.
friend.
There's a guy with a knife.
It's just Jack Nicholson's friend who he said put him in the movie, and they're like, sure, and so he's
Okay,
in the
Jack.
movie. He's just in the
And there's
movie.
yeah, but like with the whole money thing, there's like no way they could have known like
They wouldn't have known, and this is one of those
yeah,
weird things of where part of the reason why this film is the way that it is this film had a lot of studio interference in it, and it's rare that you see that make a movie better. And in this instance, it did. So this film, it was a case of where Tim Burton, I think he's come around on it a little bit nowadays, but he really didn't like it at the time, which is why Batman Returns is how it is. Because the whole thing is that in a weird twist of fate, usually what happens is the creativity is a little less restrained on the first one, and then on the second one, the leash tightens. That's what
yeah,
happened with Spider-Man, anyways. And then it got
for the better.
way too tight
Yeah,
on Spider-Man 3.
yeah.
But
Abbey of Ard.
with Batman, what happened was it was a case where the studio were like, we don't think this is going to make any money anyways. If you can convince us, you got to convince us that this one might be good, and they were fucking with it and doing all this stuff. And they're basically they slashed a lot of ideas that Tim Burton had for the film and all this stuff, and so that stuff didn't happen. But then with Batman Returns, they were like, "Hey, you made such a success last time. We'll let you kind of do what you want for this one." Then Batman Returns is a really weird and nasty movie as a result of that. And
I
then
need to watch that one next. I'd say.
I don't like Batman Returns at all. It's not a very enjoyable movie to watch. See, Batman
think
Returns has the benefit of having Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito, who are perfectly cast, but unfortunately, the versions of those characters that they are playing aren't very enjoyable to watch. Um, and it's not quite the same as in this film, of where Jack Nicholson's just fucking chewing the scenery all the time. Like there's the ad that he does where it's like, oh, this guy's been using Brand X and all this shit. That fucking ridiculous scene.
that was fucking. I don't know. I didn't expect a scene like that to pop up
And this is the
at
thing.
all.
It's a case of where there's lots of stuff in this movie which I appreciate, such as it does the very kind of unusual thing of where they tell you a lot about the Joker before he becomes the Joker. They show you Jack Napier of where he is a evil, vain man before he's the Joker. And the thing that makes him crazy is seeing that his face is now a clown. That's the
Yeah,
thing that drives him nuts because
I
he's
thought
incredibly vain.
I made a note about that. Hang on one second now. It was the fact that like he's like going nuts. He's like crazy,
Yeah,
taking off the fucking bandages. His hands are all bandaged. It was the laughing
yeah.
that was I thought was really really good. Just like the build up, and I know
Mm.
most of it is like I keep freezing.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't know what's happening
A
there.
bit of it was done in post. I know obviously like he didn't do the
Oh yeah,
entire laugh,
they kind
but
of did a little bit to it, but
let's see. Yeah, thought it was cool that he fell into toxic waste and then he turned into the
so this is the thing. This film came out after The Killing Joke. Obviously, The Killing Joke existed, and so they took bits of that and put it into his character. So obviously, the origin is one of them, and then the other thing is the fact that he's an artist is part of
yeah.
it, and so we can jump around a little bit because this is a good movie. There's no need to do the step by step walkthrough, but there's the scene of where he trashes the art gallery and he starts dancing around to Prince. Um,
Great
and
scene.
it's very in character, and just the
Yeah.
and again something which I appreciate is the fact that everything he says is total bullshit. The second he becomes the Joker, nothing he says makes sense anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's a case of where it's all nonsense pretty much. Like there's the joy buzzer which he kills that guy with, and he's got the. This was the thing which this film I think came from this film as well. The idea of him putting on makeup to look normal, because he does that sometimes in other things of where he puts on like makeup to look normal. But yeah, like the way they use it of where he's still got the big fucking grin on his face is just like quite goofy, or him having like his little hat, his little artist hat, his weird little
Yeah.
beret that he has.
I was running around dancing.
Yeah, and just again, there's a lot of that energy, which is very enjoyable. And again, like the thing that I really enjoy about Jack Nicholson's Joker is the fact that he's funny. He's funny.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff of where he says stuff where it's just fucking stupid and it's funny. Like at the end, whenever he puts on the glasses, you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? It's like all those things. Batman doesn't immediately smacks him off his face. Like it's just fucking stupid. Um, but yeah, like the weird thing about the how much Batman kills people in this film is that he doesn't actually start killing people until the third act. He doesn't kill anyone up
Yeah.
until that point. Um,
That's why I was kind of because you told me that he did kill people in this,
um,
and then I was kind of like, all right.
yeah,
But
he
it wasn't
doesn't.
until like you know
Yeah,
wasn't until the third act
yeah.
he was actually just
He goes on
fucking
a fucking
wailing on
killing
people.
spree.
just went fucking insane, went on a massacre.
Yeah.
So
And again, Batman obviously kills a hell of a lot more people in Batman Returns, and it's much more mean spirited in Batman Returns because the whole movie is very mean spirited. Um, but one of the things which is very interesting about this film is the fact that I think which a lot of people don't notice is that the Nolan movies actually reference this film quite a bit. So
in 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 all the movies or
not
just
all of them. There's two instances which come to mind. So there's the scene in which Batman and Vicky Vale are driving to the Batcave for the first time. And you're getting
yeah
that scene of them fucking flying around the corners and they drive through the wall into the Batcave. That's remarkably similar to the scene in Batman Begins whenever Batman and Rachel are driving to the Batcave for the first time and they're whipping around the countryside and then they fly through the waterfall.
yeah
Very similar. Or at the end of this film, whenever Batman is flying the Batwing and shooting at the Joker, and Joker is just like this, it's very similar to the
I thought that was like come on I want you to hit me.
the scene in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Again, so much stuff with the Joker where it's just fucking stupid and funny, like the giant gun.
The giant
The
gun
giant
and also
gun.
you know the was it when the TV was playing he had the big giant boxing glove on the big
Yeah,
extendable. He was on his chair.
yeah,
I was so weak watching that. And same with the he's like he says something like if I had a description for pain it would be Batman. He just pulls up the gun and shoots the television.
yeah. I now have a name for my pain, and that
Yeah,
is
that's it.
Batman. This town needs an
TV
enema.
explodes like a nuclear bomb. Fucking hell. So, it was so good. I love the how the Joker was in this movie.
And again, it's like I feel like the weird thing is that even Heath Ledger's Joker gets to be funny. He has jokes. He has funny
Yeah.
lines, but it's a case of where people get very stuck on the tone of the whole movie. The reason why the Joker is interesting in a film is that he, especially in a more serious film, he's weird and out of place. And the way that they do it in this film is that Batman is the thing that's kind of weird and out of place because Batman's very serious, and everything else in this film is so fucking ridiculous and crazy. Like there's that fucking goon who does a front flip over the wall and he pulls out his
Yeah, with
swords.
swords.
And Batman just kind of stands there and kicks him in the face, and he does a backflip and falls over.
Oh, I have that written down as well, I think. Oh, we completely glossed over a few other points I had
Oh yeah,
here,
naturally.
like beforehand. Sorry, just getting carried away. I just like the way, you know, with Vicky Vale and Bruce, they're on like their first
Mm.
date, and they're on their first date, and they get really drunk, or she gets really drunk anyway, and then they go to bed together. But then when they wake up,
He's just hanging upside down.
he's
It's like
hanging upside down. Normal
Yeah.
guy.
Again, it's a lot of stuff of where this film obviously has the thing which films don't really do now, which is the romance subplot. It just doesn't really happen anymore. And this movie
Yeah.
obviously has that as it's kind of the main plot of the film is the romance. For a lot of it, they did get a lot of time to it.
Chemistry sucks though.
I think it's
It's
okay. It's okay. There's a few bits of where it's like towards the end of the film, it felt like they kind of jumped a few steps
yeah.
towards the end of the film. But when it comes to like the earlier scenes of where like I don't think I've ever been in this room before, it's stuff like that where it's like those are like funny, nice scenes. Um,
I thought the long table scene was funny.
yeah.
Can you
Again,
pass the salt?
yeah. It's like yeah, I don't think I've ever been in this room before. Um, again, like Alfred gets to be, even though Alfred is in very little of the film, he gets to be kind of funny. He gets to be, and again, I like the
Loved
way
Alfred.
the way that they use Alfred in this film is funny because like a thing which they kind of hit up on in a lot of these films is Alfred tends to be a big complainer. Is
Yeah.
generally how they end up framing Alfred in a lot of these films, and there's a
Like in the
little bit of that
Nolan
here.
stuff, he's very big
Well, that's
complainer.
mostly Dark Knight Rises. In the first two films, he doesn't really complain much, but it's
No,
still there.
but
Like
yeah.
he gets to be kind of funny in Batman Begins, but they don't really do much of that in any of the
Oscar
other
Wilde.
films. Because everyone gets to be funny in Batman Begins. Because Batman Begins is almost like it's a comic book movie.
Yeah.
So Batman has jokes in Batman Begins.
I really like Batman Begins. It's probably my favorite one.
I like Batman Begins more than the other two. I don't I like.
Yeah.
I think I like The Dark Knight well
Like
enough, but
I like the Dark Knight mainly just because I like the fighting in it and I like the joke.
well, I think honestly the yeah fucking action scene is probably the worst part of those films.
I know. I always like the action no matter what in those movies.
Like the thing is, in this film, a lot of the action is very kind of it's obviously very truncated because it's not really what the film's built for. Weirdly enough,
Yeah.
even though it's like an action movie, it's a lot of
Well, yeah, there's a lot of jump cuts as well because it's filmed in the 80s. It was
yeah.
all limited technology and all that kind of stuff, like the way they had to film the shots. But like you couldn't just have like this guy in this big heavy fucking
And this is the
Batman
thing: he's
costume
walking around in a
taking
rubber
full
coffin.
force. Yeah, it'd be hard for him to move, so everything's all slow and sluggish. Like
And this is the thing. There's a lot of stuff of where, like, obviously he can't move his neck. He can't really move
yeah,
properly at all in it.
yeah,
So it's a case of where they have to work around that a lot. Of where it's stuff like, a thing that I like in this film is that Batman isn't invincible. He gets the shit kicked out of him a lot.
and he gets shot a
He
lot
gets
as
shot a
well.
lot, and I like the idea that like he's not getting injured by the bullet, but he's still getting shot with a fucking gun, so he goes
Yeah,
down.
like
Like,
he's still just a dude in armor. That's
yeah.
all he is. He's a dude in a suit.
Uh, and Batman feels like he's in a lot more danger in this film than you get in a lot of other films. Like, Batman doesn't really feel like he's in danger in most Batman films. They kind of work around that pretty well, I think, in The Batman, because you're less
Yeah,
concerned with Batman's danger and more so with the danger of what else is going on. Of where it's like, oh, is he going to be able to save these people? Is he going to be able to
yeah.
do that? Like, what's
Well,
going
I
to
think the
happen?
Batman is a different thing than all the other movies because the Batman is more of a detective movie
Yeah,
than
it's
it is
less.
more of an
There's
action
not
movie.
as much action, and even in this film, Batman gets to be smart.
Yeah,
Batman solves the whole Joker toxin thing, um, of where he and Alfred go shopping, and they figure out that it's the combinations of things that causes people to get the Joker face, and not specifically any one chemical, which is interesting. Batman gets to be a bit smart, at least.
a little
Um,
bit.
just a little bit. He doesn't get much. It's not quite like. I mean, in the Nolan films, Batman's a fucking idiot, so
Yeah,
it's not that bad at least. But yeah, like the things that I just kind of like the just. It's just such a fucking absurd movie. Like I think part of why it works so well for me is that it's just completely fucking absurd.
yeah,
Um, and again, I do enjoy the fact that they never tell you how Batman became Batman. They don't tell you. They don't tell you why
no,
he knows how to fight. They don't tell you how he got the gadgets. They don't tell you where he found the cave. I mean, it's obviously underneath Wayne Manor, but it's fucking enormous. If that
yeah. I
cave
actually
was
took note of
actually
that.
that big, there would be no Wayne Manor. It couldn't sit on that big a hole in the earth.
Yeah, I have that written down. The size of the Batcave is nuts.
It's fucking huge.
Let's get nuts.
And then, I mean, there's also that's very famous. Uh,
Yeah.
fucking just like again the way that Michael Keaton plays Bruce Wayne and Batman in this is interesting because he plays him in such a way of where it's like he's on a hair trigger of
Yeah.
where he seems mostly normal, but at any moment
You just
he can go and he can start smashing vases. Uh, and you for a moment you think to yourself, God, he's gonna stab Joker with that fucking poker, and that's gonna be it. uh,
but instead you just get shot.
Gets shot.
Again.
But he had the foresight to make himself bulletproof.
Oh yeah.
I guess he knew he assumed that Joker would go for a body shot. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this film which Joker says which just doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
There's
no,
a
he's,
line,
like, fucking
but
talking shit the
I
entire time.
mean like just doesn't even make grammatical sense. There's a line which he says earlier in the film whenever he sees the pictures of Vicky Vale, and it's whenever he says like, "I'm of a mind that makes a Mookie." The fuck does that mean? That's not even
Don't let go.
words.
Don't lingo.
Like, or he just says bizarre shit. Like after he shoots Bruce Wayne, he says, "Never rub another man's rhubarb." It's just weird shit. It makes sense, but it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought like a majority of that like dialogue it's just shit. Like with
It's
the
fun,
Joker.
though.
Just the Joker. Oh, it's fun. But it just I was like, huh? Like,
Doesn't make any
majority
sense.
of the time. Yeah.
Like a thing which I'm pretty sure it was improvised. So there's early in the film whenever Jack Napier is leaving to go to Axis Chemicals, and Jack Palance's character is there, and he's like, "Remember, you're my number one guy." And then
Yeah.
later on in the film, Joker then does that with Bob. I'm pretty sure that was improvised. Of Jack Nicholson like really overdoing it, where he's like rubbing his shoulders, all this stuff. Yeah, just weird shit, and it's just so fucking odd. Like,
I mean, they picked like a. Well, Jack Nicholson's a pretty goofy guy, like with the.
yeah,
All the
but like even still, Jack Nicholson is considered a very serious actor, and even
Yeah.
in a lot of the films that he'd been
Which
at the
is
time,
strange.
he's still a very serious actor, but. He does overact a lot, and that's what he does in
Yeah.
this film. He chews the shit out of the scenery. He knew what type of movie he was in, and he was like, "Fuck it, this is gonna
Well,
be ridiculous."
if he never really wanted to do this movie as you
No.
were saying at the start, so he was probably gonna like have his own way with how he was gonna act it as
And that's
well.
the thing.
Just go
like-
fucking nuts with it.
So there was some funny stories which I heard, which Michael Keaton told many years later on talk show appearances, is that it took a long, long time in the makeup chair for the movie. So Jack Nicholson would just go to sleep in the makeup chair. He would sit in the makeup chair for like 4 hours, and he'd just go to
Yeah.
sleep.
A picture of him up here.
And
Doesn't really look like they do a lot of makeup to him though.
with Michael Keaton, it was a case of where it was mostly getting him into the bat suit. It took a long time because there's no visible seams. So it took a very, very long time to get him into that bat suit. Michael Keaton, funnily enough, also claustrophobic. So he did
Oh,
not
great.
enjoy that bat suit.
Good thing they made it CGI in the Flash.
Well, he did have to get into it sometimes. But basically, one of the things that he said was, I think he said that he kind of got over his claustrophobia a little bit as it went along. But yeah, he said a lot of the time what would happen would be he'd go in to the makeup room, Jack Nicholson would be there, or Jack Nicholson would come in after him, and he'd just say, "Morning, Keats," and then he'd sit
Morning,
down.
Keats.
He'd sit down in the makeup chair, and then he'd go to sleep, and they wouldn't have much of a conversation. But the makeup guys would leave on a TV of like just various sports that would be on. And there's a very famous image of Michael Keaton in the full Batman costume watching a Lakers game, of where he's leant over the TV like that, watching this basketball
Flash
game.
in the basketball game.
And yeah, like one of the interesting things that he said is that one morning he came in and Jack Nicholson didn't immediately go to sleep. He said, "Morning, Keats," and there was a moment of silence, and then he said, "It was a mean darts tournament last night." And they didn't discuss this. He went to sleep, and Michael Keaton sat there in the makeup chair and thought to himself, and just had this image in his mind of Jack Nicholson sat in a dark room in the middle of the night watching darts. In some of those behind the scenes pictures, is a weird thing which you can see of where, uh, mm, of where, uh, mm, yeah, of where the like on Batman's mask, there's kind of like, or I don't know if it's, yeah, they've given him like white contacts in some of the there's like behind the scenes images of where he's got like white contacts in, but I think
Yeah.
they decided that it looked kind of weird, and it does look kind of weird when you see some of those images.
Well, when his pupils are gone,
Yeah, he's
it's
just
all
got
white.
white contacts in some of the images. Now I don't know if that's necessarily just the way they shot it or something for some of those, because it's like promo images of where he's got white eyes. But it's a thing which they obviously didn't go with in the movie, and it's the thing which they never go with in any of the movies. Batman never has white eyes. Technically, in The
Yeah.
Dark Knight, he briefly has white eyes, but
The sonar thing.
it's very weird looking. And it's mostly because they try to explain it. They try to give a logical explanation to him having white eyes, which he doesn't need a logical explanation for white eyes. Same way in this movie, like Batman isn't really a ninja so much as he is like a brawler. Like his fighting stance is very different than you'd see in a lot of other
Yeah.
Batman movies. He just kind of has his hands like that's it. That's his fighting stance.
But it's not like in the games either, you know.
No.
He's like, oh, he's very agile in the,
No,
or even in the Ben Affleck version of Batman.
yeah. I mean, obviously, with those films, it was a case of where they figured out how to give him the full cowl, but have his head full range of movement. New
Yeah.
technology was created in order to do that.
Seriously.
Yeah, new technology was created in order to allow his head full range of movement in the full one piece cowl.
Yeah, I'm watching
'Cause
just a clip from Batman vs Superman now, and he's like moving his head like.
Because obviously
all over
in
the
The Dark Knight, that was the first time Batman could fully move his head in a movie, but he doesn't have a one piece cowl. It's segmented. They decided to separate it, and like this is the thing. Batman in a lot of those, in a lot of the later films, has a very different shape than he does in Batman '89. Like Batman has, like the way they shoot Batman is very interesting in this film. Like a lot of the times in the Batcave, you just see like his eyes.
Yeah.
Like whenever he's talking to Vicky Vale in the Batcave, there's like the shots of where you can just see his eyes. You can't see the rest of his face. And yeah, like we didn't really talk about the Batmobile. The Batmobile
Not really, but I
is
did
cool
think
as
it looked
hell.
fucking fantastic. You know, it looked like something ripped right out of the 50s.
And like it's this giant long car which has a fucking turbine in the back of it.
And it can have these big fucking shield plates come over
Yeah.
the entire thing.
And there's
Uh,
like I really enjoy all the gadgets that Batman has in this film. He's got a lot of weird gadgets that he only
Yeah.
like uses once. There's the zip line which he uses to escape the museum.
Chemical in the museum. Yeah.
There's the weird thing about the smoke bomb is that he actually uses like it's like a jar thing to make
Yeah.
the smoke.
It's like a chemical thing. You see
Yeah.
it fizzle. You see it fizzle when he throws it on the ground.
Because he uses it once more in the film, and you hear the same sound effect, but you don't see the chemicals.
Yeah.
So you're, I suppose, supposed to assume that it's the same thing. And yeah, like the weird thing about like again some of the gadgets, like there's a weird like glove thing that pops out at one point. There's that guy who like leaps at him with the blades in his feet in the cathedral, and Batman hits him
Yeah.
in the dick with his hand, and then he just dies.
Yeah. Death
Um,
by a dick punch.
Or there's like again, like there's all the different gadgets in the ships, or in not the ships, the vehicles, such
Hmm.
as in the Batwing, of where he's got that giant fucking thing that he has to pull over his eyes in order to aim, like he's in a fucking X-wing. Um, but yeah, I just yeah, the giant gun I think is one of my favorite things in this
With the
film.
long revolver.
The just enormous revolver, which like, and the fact that he hits him as well. The fact that
Yeah.
he hits and he shoots him.
Oh, wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you?
Yeah. Or like whenever he's throwing him around the cathedral and he's doing like the Three Stooges noises, where he
Yeah.
punches him in the face and he spits out the teeth. Like just, and then like, let me lend you a hand. He pulls his hand
So
off.
comical. They're trying to be so comical with the movie. They did a good job.
And this is the thing. It's a very funny movie.
I take it all back. I take all back what I
It's a
said.
it's a very funny movie, and it's supposed to be, but Batman Returns is not. Batman Returns is very much not a funny movie. There's
I will
weird
watch it.
there's weird gags in Batman Returns, such as like Batman has some one-liners in Batman Returns which don't make any fucking sense. Batman isn't in very much of Batman Returns. He's in even less of that film than he's in this.
Even barely in this one.
Like he's not in much of this film because he remains fairly mysterious, and that's the thing which I do appreciate is the fact that they don't demystify Batman too much. They don't explain a lot of this stuff. Again, like I said earlier, they don't explain how he gets the gadgets. They don't explain how he knows how to fight. They don't explain why he became Batman, or well, how he became Batman. They explain why. And I like their explanation of it as well. Of whenever Vicky Vale asks him why he does it, he's just like, I don't know. It's just a thing I have to do. And I like that. I like that kind of explanation of where it's just kind of like he doesn't always understand it, but he's like, "This is what I do."
Yeah.
Again, this movie is the reason why Batman always says, "I'm Batman."
Yeah. I do it because I'm Batman.
Like this this movie is the reason why he says that. It wasn't Batman's catchphrase until this film of him just saying, "I'm Batman." That's like, again,
Like even watching just like little bits of the Adam West Batman, I just have him on the screen here. It's just like I don't know, it's just such a different contrast compared to all the other or a different it just looks weird compared to the other. I know it's the 60s. This one's like what, 89?
89, yeah.
It's just like funny seeing this guy fucking like in this skin tight like onesie. And then in the Keaton movie you have him wearing like this like big body armor, and same in the Batman, where I'd say he's wearing more armor than he was in
Yeah.
the Nolan movies.
See, the funny thing is that the way that Batman movies have gone is you get the kind of comparison point of where the 60s show is a comedy show. It is a through and through comedy show. And the 89 film is still comedic, but it's significantly more serious because it's still trying to be to create a world which within the context of it these things are taken seriously. Like in the 60s show, it's not taken seriously. Like it's a complete comedy. There's a scene which I remember of where because the show is very funny. There's a scene which I remember of where Joker is like, if Batman was here, I'd pound him through this table, and then it like cuts to a wide shot and Batman stood behind him. He says, "Get pounding, Joker," and Joker turns around and he does the girliest scream ever, and and that's the scene. Like again, it's a complete comedy. There's a fucking episode where Batman and Joker compete to become mayor of the city. They're like, I don't even think they call it Gotham City. And there's a scene of where they have to surfboard.
Okay.
They have to surf against each other, and Batman's wearing swimming trunks over the batsuit.
Yeah, that's kind of funny actually.
And Joker's wearing swimming trunks over his suit. Like, so this is the thing. Like Cesar Romero, who plays Joker in that, put up a similarly hard bargain to becoming the Joker as Jack Nicholson did.
Yeah.
Because Cesar Romero was very famous for his mustache, which he did not want to shave. So he basically said, I ain't shaving it. You can paint over it, but I ain't shaving it. So if you look at him, he's still got a fucking mustache, but they just painted over it. Like he's still got his mustache. They just painted over it, and that kind
yeah,
of
I see it
contributes to
there.
just the fuck it energy that that show has. Of where it's just again, it is a comedy show and it's quite funny. Like even the '60s movie is quite funny. Uh, that film opens with the shark repellent scene, which is very famous. And there's obviously a scene later in the film of where Batman finds a bomb and he's trying to dispose of it, but it's this giant cartoon bomb with the little fuse in the top of it, and he's running around the streets trying to get rid of it. But he keeps running into like the whole thing is he looks to his left and there's a playground, and then he looks to his right and there's a bunch of nuns, and he's like, oh, what do I do? And he has to keep running around, and he keeps running into more children and nuns, and that's the scene of where he's like trying to dispose of this giant bomb. But yeah, he's there's nowhere safe to throw it. But
Now
yeah,
we're getting on to the Jokers now. I think, are we?
which
We were talking about the Adam West stuff, and then
yes.
Joker and Adam West, who wouldn't shave his stash.
So as we're kind of
Cesar Romero.
going forward in time, you get the comparison point of where the '60s show is a complete comedy, '89
Yeah.
movie still kind of it's still a comedy.
It's goofy.
It's goofy. It's very comedic, but it's far more serious. By comparison, it's night and fucking day.
Yeah.
90% of Batman '89 takes place at nighttime. Very little of the '60s show takes place at nighttime. It's
Yeah.
mostly during the day. Then you get Batman Returns, which is very, very serious, very dark, not very fun. And then there's the Joel Schumacher movies, which are very goofy, but I think there's still some merit in them. They're still fun. They're very goofy though. This is the thing, you have to go into them with a very different mindset.
Yeah.
And then you get the Nolan films, which, as compared to even Batman '89, are tremendously serious. Even though Batman
Yeah.
Begins is a lot goofier than the other two.
Nice jacket.
And you get Batman gets one-liners. There's the scene of where he's running through Arkham, and he blows open the wall in the cell, and he's like, "Gentlemen," and then he leaves. And he gets a lot of these weird little gags throughout the film, or like Gordon driving the Batmobile. Like there's those weird, goofy scenes in Batman Begins, and then you jump forward then to the Ben Affleck Batman, which is far too serious. Again, it has the Batman Returns problem where it's far too serious for its own good, and then
Yeah.
it gets way too goofy when you get to Justice League, of where Batman's constantly telling jokes, and he is a joke, which is the problem. You don't want that problem of where Batman is a joke. You want a little bit of humor here and there. And then I think that's where the Batman kind of strikes a nice middle ground of where Batman is the serious part of an otherwise completely insane world, which is what they do with it in the Batman. Of where
I like the Batman.
like the Batman, people don't people a lot of people are like, oh, it's so serious and dark. It's like in a movie where you have Colin Farrell's Penguin, I don't think you can say it's too serious because he's so goofy in that film. There's the scene of whenever they're interrogating Colin Farrell's Penguin and he waddles around because his feet are tied. Like,
Yeah.
or there's the bit in the GCPD whenever Gordon's trying to tell Batman to escape and he's like really overdoing like the serious faces and all this stuff. It's like it's really silly. Or
What does he
Thumb
say? He's
Drive.
fucking like
Yeah, you gotta get out of here.
mustache with the broken nose.
Yeah. Just all this like really silly stuff, or like
But I thought that was still thought the movie was excellent though.
Yeah.
You know?
this is the thing. The Batman's a very serious film. It has a lot of goofy moments, which
Yeah.
are important. Again, like Thumb Drive. The movie has a very dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is the thing. Is like there is a balance to be struck here. I prefer the version of Batman where Batman is the one serious part of an otherwise very goofy, a very goofy or insane world, which is what
Yeah.
they do in Batman '89, where Batman is really the only serious thing in the film, and even Batman has his goofier moments. When he's just Bruce Wayne, he's fucking weird.
Oh yeah.
Like again, he goes fucking crazy at multiple points in this
You
film.
want to get nuts?
Yeah. Like of where just again you get all these crazy scenes of where he's just doing weird shit, like hanging upside down. Which it feels like the movie even glosses over that of where it's like, that would that would stick out in my mind. Of seeing this man hang upside down. Um so
I just as we're talking about this movie, and where I just wanted to see the scene of the him smashing the vase with
yeah.
the fire poker thing, and someone commented, "Never rub another man's rhubarb."
Yeah.
That just that quote and nothing else is in the
It's a
comments.
very quotable movie.
It's got 17 likes because I liked it. It had 16. Now it's got
Right.
17.
It's a very
But,
quotable film.
Never touch a man's rhubarb.
Yeah, just like again, it is. I think it's an almost perfect movie in terms of tone, to me. Where the movie balances its tone very well. It knows when to be serious. It knows when to be very goofy. A lot of
Yeah.
the kind of like introducing Batman. Batman has a presence on screen whenever he appears because he's like a fucking demon when he first
Yeah.
appears. You're like, okay, that's fucking
Just
Dracula.
floats down.
Dracula has appeared on screen. Or just the fact that even in like the scene in Axis Chemicals before Jack Napier becomes the Joker, you just see Batman kind of moving around in the scene in the background, or
Yeah.
like beating up guys or stuff like this, and no one really sees him. But then you're seeing all this stuff of him just kind of moving around. There is the funny thing though of whenever he picks up Jack Napier and then fucking
Slowly put him down.
he has to
Again.
slowly put him down. He's got this weird like grin on his face.
And he shoots the that guy's voice, like the really like fat guy with the
Eckhart.
yeah.
He's quite hard
His
to understand.
voice,
He's
is it real? Is that his
That's
actual
his-
voice?
I believe that
actor's
is.
voice? Because
Yeah.
it sounds so weird. Like I reckon they definitely did something in post
I don't know. I don't know
with
they.
that voice.
I don't know
'Cause
as much
his,
they could
his
have really
lips
done.
his lips don't line up.
I think it's just because so much of his dialogue is coming right from the throat that very
Probably.
little of it requires the lips.
Probably.
It's,
It's just
it's
such a
one
weird-
kind of long growl. um, but yeah, like one of the things which is like it's funny in that scene is obviously you have whenever Batman has to put Jack Napier back down. The whole thing is like he's supposed to look to see that Gordon's being held at gunpoint, but he can't move his fucking head, so he just like
Yeah.
does that and then puts Jack Napier down. But again, the weird thing in the film is that it kind of feels like a thing of where Batman just decides to start killing people because again, for most of the film he doesn't. Like even at the start of the film, he tries to save Jack Napier.
Yeah.
Um,
Like he's holding on to him so he doesn't
Yeah.
fall into the acid.
and again, like it's a thing which the camera doesn't really hold on, but obviously the reason why his face gets all fucked up, not why the color changes or anything like that. The reason why he's got the weird smile is because a bullet goes through his cheeks.
Yeah.
And it's the type of thing which the camera doesn't really show you, but you do see the giant bullet hole in his
Yeah, you
face
see gashes.
whenever
His
he's
cheeks.
being held over the acid. But like again, the camera doesn't really focus on it all that much. The earlier parts of this film are somewhat strange because it's like a lot of swearing in the early parts of the film. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people saying like shit and damn and stuff like that. No real swearing towards the end of the film. Film gets a lot goofier as it goes along, and again, I think that's just by virtue of the Joker having more screen time as the film goes along. Like I mean, the Joker's in almost every scene of the film.
Yeah.
Like I just think of stuff like there's the scene of whenever he's fucking instructing them to ship all the chemicals, and he's just stood in the background on the giant fucking thing, and he's like flailing around and yelling orders and all this stuff, and it's like, why would any of these guys work for him? Especially like towards the end of the film, whenever he's like, "You took my balloons,"
Yeah.
and then he immediately kills Bob. He's like,
Poor
"Bob,
Bob.
give me your gun." And he just takes the gun and shoots him.
Bob's death was very. It was a surprise. I didn't think poor Bob was gonna get it.
Yeah.
To be honest, I thought he was gonna be a real one and survive the entire thing.
I mean, this is the comedy, is that, like, you're led to believe that, like, again, the acid doesn't make him crazy. He's crazy
He was always crazy.
beforehand. They'd show you that he was fucking crazy beforehand. Because
So it's like, why wasn't he acting like that before?
I think the idea is supposed to be more so that, like, well, even you get it a little bit. He's still uh, he's still fucking completely homicidal. He still loves murder, like of where, like in the first scene of where he meets with Eckhart at the crime scene, like he's threatening to kill him immediately. Like he's been talking to him for like 2 minutes, and he's like, "I'm going to kill this man." Or at Axis Chemicals, the second that Batman disappears, he immediately fucking blasts Eckhart. He just kills him instantly. And it's like, that's the guy who's working with him. He just killed him. And again, like, it's just, like, again, he's always crazy, but again, the idea is that his vanity is what makes him crazier, is the fact that after he gets the okay, after he catches a bullet in the face, and he's now got this weird fucked up smile on his face, he's like, well, fuck it, I'm crazier. I'm even crazier. Like whenever he goes to kill,
why my brain is gonna go fucking nuts.
like he goes to kill Grissom, he kills Jack Palance, and like I like the look on Jack Palance's face whenever he sees him with the makeup. He's like whenever he emerges from the shadows, he's like, oh, we can cut a deal. And he's like, oh, you can call me Joker, and he's like, he just looks at him like, and then he immediately kills him.
Yeah, he just gets gunned down like right away.
He blasts the shit out of him. But again, that's the first scene of where he's Joker, and he's already doing fucking stupid, funny shit of where he's like shooting the gun over his shoulder and between his legs.
That was brilliant. A lot of the scenes actually had me like belly laughing.
And again,
because of Jack Nicholson.
Or there's like towards the end of the film of whenever he like pulls the gun on himself and he shoots, and it has just the thing comes out of it.
Yeah.
Or I like the fact that, like, as these types of films go, a lot of the time the female lead doesn't get much agency in the film, and that's mostly true for this film. Vicky Vale doesn't get to do a huge amount in the movie. She mostly just kind of gets interested in Bruce Wayne and mostly just acts as the audience's reason to learn about Bruce Wayne.
There's something as the Bechdel test or something, isn't it?
I forget the whole that's more so to test, if memory serves, it's more so to test the ability for a female character to talk about,
to measure the representation of women in the film. The test is whether this test asks whether a work features at least two female characters who have a conversation about something other than a man.
Yeah.
Some alliterations, the requirement that two female characters have names is added. Someone wrote this on drugs. I'm not fucking this up on purpose.
Right.
Someone wrote
it's
this.
just hard to read.
Some fucking idiot wrote this on like just like a lot of shrooms. And just was like, yeah.
But yeah, I like that towards the end of the film, Vicky Vale gets to do the thing of where she tricks Joker by playing along with it, and then Batman fucking clocks him really hard. He clunks against the bell.
I saw that one coming from a mile away, and I was very satisfied with end result of that one.
Yeah. Again, just Batman beating the ever loving piss out of Joker at the end of that film is really funny. Um, or just like, again, like Joker just fucking yucking it up after he's pulled them off the edge and he's just dancing around. And then Batman horribly murders him.
Yes,
But Joker got the last laugh. Hmm?
he did indeed.
But one of the things which I wanted to mention was that obviously we have Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent, who is in
Yes.
a little bit of the film. He's not in much of it, but he gets to kind of he gets like the problem is this film's obviously setting up for more stuff. That's why they include Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent isn't in Batman Returns. He never appears in it. And by the time that he is in Batman Forever, he's become Tommy Lee Jones suddenly.
Yeah.
He is suddenly a different man, which is part of why I say Batman Forever is sort of Batman 3 and it sort of isn't. Because a lot of the character arcs, like particularly Batman's character arc in the film, relies heavily on the previous two films. But the kind of way that they handle a lot of stuff like Two-Face is not quite the same at all. And
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones gives a very similar performance to Jack Nicholson's Joker, of where he's really over the top. You would think that because of the nature of that film, because you've got Riddler and Two-Face, Two-Face would be the serious villain, Riddler's the goofy villain. No, they're both completely fucking stupid. They're both really goofy. And so it's very strange. And I believe Billy D. Williams said that he did want to play Two-Face in
Yeah.
because so the whole thing was whenever it was Tim Burton making Batman 3 before the studio took him off of it. Well, it's not that the studio took him off of it. He left because they wanted it to be less serious. Because obviously Batman Returns didn't do as well because people didn't like it as much because it was a bit too
Yeah.
serious. So the studio wanted Batman Forever to be much lighter in tone. Tim Burton didn't want to make that, so he left. And the whole thing was that it was still going to be Riddler and Two-Face as the villains, but obviously it would have been Billy D. Williams as Two-Face, and the actor who they wanted to play, the Riddler, was Robin Williams. And he even said that they had asked him already to do it, and they called him and they said, "Do you want to be in this?" And he said yes. And then they never called him again. And that's the thing that he basically said, was because he never got asked back because Tim Burton left, and it was Tim Burton who wanted him. So the studio went with Jim Carrey instead because Jim Carrey was very, very popular in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. He was their star power for the film, kind of basically. And Robin Williams wasn't very happy about this because Robin Williams was asked to play the Joker in Batman 89. He was offered the role and he said yes. But the whole thing was that he got fucked out of it because they basically only asked him to do it as a bargaining chip to get Jack Nicholson to do it, to basically say, hey, look at all these other actors who we've asked to play the Joker. You could do it instead. And so after they met all of Jack Nicholson's crazy demands, he ended up playing the character, and Robin Williams was kind of like, what the fuck? I said yes. Why didn't I play him? And they were like, And so then whenever they offered him Riddler, he was like, I want to do it this time. And then it didn't happen. And he got screwed out of it again. But yeah. All in all, Batman 89 is a very good film. This is a shorter episode because, I mean, we like the movie. So there's, I suppose, less to say.
There's not a lot to like shit talk about.
That's the thing. We like the movie, so we're more so talking about cherry picking things that we enjoy, stuff like this. So we also don't have as much time. But that's part of it as well. But this is a shorter episode, mostly because there's a little less that we have to say because we like the movie, and we don't always need to go on for nearly 2 hours. Because if we went on for the entire length of this movie, because this is actually the longest movie we've done so far, this is
Yeah,
2 hours
it's
and
like
6 minutes.
2 hours. Yeah.
2 hours and 6 minutes. Most of the movies we've done so far are an hour and a half. It's mostly because that is my tolerance for watching shit movies, is an hour and a half. Now, I already know what Lennon's next pick is. So I'm hoping I haven't checked the runtime of this movie, but yeah. Pray tell, what is
Or
your
yeah.
next
Okay.
pick?
My next pick is going to be the first Ghost Rider movie with Nicolas Cage
Yeah,
as the infamous Ghost Rider. So that's
yeah.
going to be an interesting one.
It's going to be an
I haven't seen
interesting
it,
one.
so
I've seen
that's
this
why I
movie
picked
before.
it. I wanted to see it for a very long time.
It is a fucking weird film. It is a weird ass movie. It is filled to the brim with Nicolas Cage just doing weird shit, such as eating M&Ms out of a wine glass. Just he does
Yeah,
weird shit.
you told me about this,
I mentioned
and
this
I have a
before.
feeling that's improv. He decided to do that.
I
No
don't
one
know.
told him to do it.
I don't know. It's such a strange film that I can't tell. Like even the scenes where he's not doing weird shit, you're like, is who is this in the script? Who made him do this? Did anyone make him do this? Like the thing is, Ghost Rider is a film which does have good scenes. It's one of those weird things where I'd say it's of the films we've done so far, it's most comparable to Daredevil because it's one of those bad movies which is quite enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
But it also does have some good scenes here and there, so it's an interesting one. I think it is a good pick, but I'm going to try and keep picking good movies because I know what Lennon wants out of this series, which is to make me suffer.
Yeah.
And so
I'll pick good movies at some point. I just want to get through what I want to the bad ones I
it
want to
can't
get through
all
first.
be shit because then otherwise the bit loses power. But
I will pick a good movie after your next movie.
right. I need to try and think of what my next movie is.
Yeah.
I'll have to have a good read of my list, but I think I have an idea of what I want to do. I think I have a good idea of what I want to do because any of the movies on my list, I at least picked them based on our ability to talk about them. And I mean, we at least got an hour and 10-minute conversation out of Batman '89. We, of course, I don't think it would be. I think it would be a bit crazy to go on for the full 2 hours talking about this film because that would be the full length of the movie. But like closing thoughts, it's a great film. It's a classic film. It's an incredibly influential movie. The music in the film is really good.
Yes.
There's a certain quality to the music in the film which makes me feel very nostalgic, even though I was not born when this movie came out. And the reason for that is Lego Batman.
Lego Batman.
Because Lego Batman
Yeah.
obviously uses all the music from this film. It uses
Yes.
all the Batman '89 music. So, and even a lot of the Batman Returns music. The Batman Returns music is also very good, even though the film isn't very good. It's got a very famous soundtrack. No Prince in Batman Returns, though, unfortunately. No Prince.
Not watching it.
Because
Sorry.
that was a studio decision.
I only watched '89 because of Prince, so I can't. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
not watching it.
You know, Joker
I'm
is,
not missing much.
Joker
anyway.
is purple. Prince is purple. There's a connection, is all I'm saying.
Is Prince the Joker? Or is Joker Prince?
Well, Joker is the clown prince of crime.
I meant the artist.
The artist formerly known as Prince. The artist formerly known as being alive.
Yeah. Formerly known as being alive.
That's fucked
That's
up. That's fucked up. That's in bad taste.
Yeah, that's fucked up, man.
That was in bad taste.
That was you. That wasn't me.
Oh. God almighty.
All the fans are coming after
Well,
you now. They're
but
gonna
because
take
you
down this
you
channel.
said it afterwards, so I can edit it. So it was
I
you
didn't.
said
I
it.
didn't make the joke. Oh, really? Can
I
you?
can edit that. Yeah, I can just cut out me saying
Until
it
the
and you
day I
say it.
die, I'm gonna have a plaque saying Alex said this. It's gonna be on my fucking tombstone. I didn't say this, and quote it. There'll be like a thumb. There'll be a thumb drive. There'll be a thumb drive next to the casket with the video, the unedited footage that I've been recording this whole time.
Naturally, yeah. And then on my grave, it'll just say, I'm with stupid, and it's pointing to yours. Anyways, thank you for watching us.
Thank you.
We will be talking about Ghost Rider next time. I have to mentally prepare myself for that, because even though an entertaining film though it may be, a taxing one it also is.
It's I have to buy this movie. I'll have to buy it.
It's
to
on
watch
Netflix.
It. Never mind. I have to buy Netflix now. I don't have Netflix.
Oh right, I forgot about that.
So
it's on Netflix.
I'll buy Netflix. I could rent it actually on iTunes to be cheaper. That's what I did with Batman.
Anyways, that was us. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
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 What an adventure.